I'm in a happy mood to share this information with you. Dan Buckley, president of Marvel. Let me just skip over to the part where I share you the Comics Pals talking about this specific motion. This specific quote you're about to hear from Dan Buckley.
He's asked, we've heard from retailers that the shortening up of series with more and more one shots, more and more miniseries, and fewer longer ongoing series makes it harder to maintain the habit of collecting.
Yes,
Marvel is definitely in that role.
he just recognized. Well, Sean's not done talking. The Comics Pals are a great channel. You should be subscribed to these guys, right? I hope I'm subscribed. Yeah, I am. Could you imagine if I wasn't subscribed? Great, great stuff over here from them. Subscribe to their channel. What he just talked about was the habit going to the store on a weekly basis and how my rhythm has been disrupted. I don't go so often anymore. I don't need to anymore. It's important to maintain customers, and the start and stops and the limited series up to 4 issues is problematic.
And so he responded, we're hearing some of the same things, and we're experimenting with going a little longer or extending out more. I think the
We're hearing the same thing. We're focused on going longer. Yes.
days of having a 500 issue run is probably a reach,
That's such an extreme, a 500 issue run.
but we are looking at having less limited series and more ongoing with all of our characters. I'm not going to say there won't be limited series,
Sure.
but I am at the moment approving some series for 10 issues at a time, not 4 or 5. Hopefully, I can get to 15 or 20. That is the intent. Because to be honest, it's a lot of work on our editorial staff too to restart books all the time. There's a lot of work on our
You see how everyone on the panel just nodded their head after he said that?
lot of work on our editorial staff too to restart books all the time. There's a lot of work on our marketing staff to remarket a book that's coming out. It's to the benefit of everyone to figure this out.
Are you good, dude?
Funny, an ad plays. I'm going to go to a list of Marvel Comics publications, and you can see that these are their ongoing series, which it used to be longer than just these ongoing series. Star Wars Ultimate. And then look at their limited series. Look at how many of these limited series that there are, starting and stopping at 1 to 4. 4 comic books. It used to be like 5. I would never. It was never such a short thing as 4 comic books. It's kind of pathetic. The upcoming limited series. So we still gotta live into this limited series world. A lot of these are Blood Hunt tie-ins, of course. Amazing Spider-Man Blood Hunt. So I guess they don't really count. Look though. The issues and the problem with limited series. The reason for the 4-issue series is simple. It's easy to sell it number 1 because the stores will over-order comic books for number 1. Then 2, then 3, and 4 will have a decreasing customer base. Issue number 2 sells half as many as issue number 1, and 3 gets less and 4 gets less. Do we want to sell a 5th issue? No. Let's not even sell issue number 5 because it'll be down lower than 4. Let's just start a brand new limited series, and then we get something like Ms. Marvel, Mutant Massacre, New Ms. Marvel, The New Mutant, and then Ms. Marvel NYX. It's a problem. These guys who I just showed you, the Comics Pals, they just talked about that stuff for 2 hours and a half. I only skipped to the 40th minute of their conversation, and I'm still gonna, as soon as I'm done recording this, I'm gonna listen to more of what they have to say because they're so good, informative, useful. Although, you know, when YouTube asks you, why did you like this? Was it heartwarming content? Was it the Comics Pals? I can't recommend them enough. So I'm going to finish watching them. But it's not just them who are talking about this problem. Back of the bus when I was talking to him, Marcus, not the comic expert Josh, but Marcus was bringing this up about how we were talking about Blade, I think, and he was recognizing just how, like, what does go longer than 10 issues over there at Marvel. The starts and the stops are recognized as a problem, and we're going to stop doing it, says Dan Buckley. We're going to try to get past 10. We're going to get it to 15. We know that it's even harder for our marketing division. What marketing division? What do you mean marketing? Well, there is no marketing in comic books. There's weak marketing in comic books. I wish they marketed in comic books. I wish that I watched Disney Plus shows and like a comic book page would kind of flap and then boom, the motions would start and it would be a TV show all over again. But like, just have comic books remind people, or at the end of a show, adapted from this comic book, you know, coordinate with the stores, create new fans. Or the MCU annual. Every year on Free Comic Book Day in May, there is a free comic book which is canon to the movies. So if it were to happen this Saturday, so this Saturday was the MCU's, rather the Free Comic Book Day. It just happened. It was the first Saturday of May, and it was the Free Comic Book Day. If they would have done something for Deadpool and Wolverine, as in, let me think, the first scene of Deadpool, the first scene of it, they would do a comic book that takes place for 5 pages, a comic book where you would see everything that led up to the first scene. And the first words in the first scene of the movie is the last words of the comic book. And we'd go, oh, okay, that's how it gets us ready for Deadpool and Wolverine. And what's coming out next after this? Is this the Thunderbolts movie or the Sam Wilson movie? All right. Well, what's Sam Wilson doing in between the TV show to here? A comic book to do that, to explain that. There are movie fans in the millions who would hop on to the comic book shop just to get something for Free Comic Book Day. And while they're at the comic book shop, I heard about Spider-Man when he's being hunted by Kraven. So Kraven's Last Hunt's going to sell. Oh, I heard about, I don't know, Guardians of the Galaxy. Let me read that comic book. Every comic book has potential to sell. They just don't market. The marketing division. Yes, putting QR codes at the end of a comic book, at the end of a TV show. Yes, that's a thing. There's ways to do marketing, and they just don't do marketing. Get Iman Vellani on the couch with Seth Meyers talking about the comic book. He reads comics. She's writing a comic. She's not going to say no to that. Just pay for her flight to New York. Or while she's in New York for another reason, for business reasons, she can be there talking about her comic book. And it would be much better to sell if it was issues 1 to 8, not issue 1 to 4, issue 1 to 4. Enough, though. Enough with that. The Comics Pals are right there. The video's right there.